for Culture on France 24 with the latest from the world of fashion, hot off the catwalk.
Time for Culture with Lexus Hybrid Drive.
Welcome to our Culture Spot. I'm now joined by Jessica Michaud, the online style editor of the International Herald Tribune, and she's here to tell us about the latest news in the world of fashion and style. This week she's here to explain why the biggest news to come out of the latest round of runway shows has nothing to do with the clothing seen on the catwalk. Jessica, tell us more.
Hi. Yeah, it's true that the big buzz this year or this season wasn't so much about the trends of what will be hot for next summer or maybe the fantastic sets we were seeing with all of the runway shows or even the celebrities that we were seeing sitting in the front row in Paris, Milan, and London and New York. It was the use of social networking as a part of an integral part now of how fashion is getting its message across directly to the public.
We've seen lots of online applications and social networking sites around for years, though, so what's different this season?
Well, it was a real tipping point. It was a true democratization of fashion. We were seeing how designers were taking their collections directly to the customers, bypassing fashion journalists and glossy magazines who kind of package an idea and send it out to the public, and even the buyers who go out and purchase the items and put it into the stores. They were going directly to the consumer to show them what they thought and asking for direct feedback from consumers about what they liked.
Well, with all these different social networking platforms around there, I guess the question is, how do brands choose which sites they want to have a presence on, or do they just go for a blanket approach and presence on all of them?
Well, I don't think a blanket approach is a good idea. I think that they need to focalize on what works best for their brand. But what was really exciting this season was how different each different brand was using social networking. For example, Stella McCartney and Yves Saint Laurent, they were using Twitter to upload photos from backstage right before the show was starting. They were talking about what was happening backstage the night before, if there were any problems. So it was quite interesting and quite a direct contact with what was happening there. Louis Vuitton showed its collection live, streamed live on their website, which was a very good thing because they started on time, which was unheard of in the industry. So there are quite a few people who had front row tickets who didn't actually get to see the show, so they could see it online, I guess. But one of the great things that happened was Roland Mouret took 28 different cameras and filmed backstage, front of house, detailed shots, and then he uploaded them all onto his website. So people can go onto the Roland Mouret site and actually choose if they want to watch the whole show backstage, they want to just see the detailed shots, they just want to see the runway show as a front row person would. So it was very different, a variety of different ways of using it.
Behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes really becoming a part of it, really an integral part. And I have to say one of the most exciting experiences was the Alexander McQueen show. Alexander McQueen is always an innovator, and this time he teamed up with Nick Knight to create a sensational experience, a social networking experience. They melded a Nick Knight video with Alexander McQueen's runway show, which had two giant cameras mounted on these giant cranes that filmed both the runway show and the audience as the show was taking place. And all of this was uploaded live onto the internet at a live feed. I think they hired an extra 4 servers to handle the rush of people looking at it, but a tweet from Lady Gaga's Twitter feed announced this was happening, and the rush was so large, tens of thousands of people logged on to the Alexander McQueen show site that it crashed the system. So it was quite an amazing experience to be there and to watch it happening and to also watch it online.
Well, that is definitely one way of getting your audience involved with you, I suppose, and very technically impressive too.
Yeah, absolutely. But I have to say it was probably not the best example of how social networking has now become part of the integral part of fashion. The best example would be Dolce & Gabbana. They, in fact, did something quite shocking. They gave 4 front row seats of their show to bloggers. They moved top buyers from the U.S. To second row seats, which is unheard of, and gave bloggers front row seats. So that was quite a surprise.
Again, the democratization, I suppose.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it was great because not only did they put the bloggers front row, they actually put up laptops for them so that they could blog and Twitter live while the collection was going on to give their immediate impressions. And they
really trying to feed the new media buzz. I guess it's become such an important
absolutely.
part of it,
I mean, but they even went further than that. In the weeks leading up to the show, they created special diaries on their YouTube site talking about their inspirations, where they were coming from, and getting direct feedback from both Facebook and Twitters about what their clients and their fans liked and didn't like about what they were going to be producing.
I guess the question though is, does that mean the end then for traditional fashion magazines? Is blogging the future of fashion writing?
Well, I think that, blogging has been around for 10 years now. So, I mean, it is quite substantial when you look at what is social media these days. They've even got a code of conduct that many bloggers are signing to trying to legitimize themselves as a new type of journalism. And if you look at what's happening in the United States, where the FTC has proclaimed that starting December 1st, bloggers have to state whether or not on their website they've received gifts or been paid for blogging entries as a way of kind of regulating bloggers from now on. It really shows a new
Fair Trading Commission.
Exactly.
For those,
exactly. For those who don't know the abbreviation, absolutely.
Okay, so it's kind of blogging entering the mainstream and perhaps, well, a way of democratizing fashion, I guess.
That's the goal,
again.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, Jessica Michaud, thanks very much indeed for that fashion update. The latest. The US art world, excuse us for that technical hitch, the US art world has been rocked by the latest from graffiti artists.
A long way from home, a surreal take on a traditional skill, inspired by Africa on the 11th stage of Hervé de Rosa's world tour.
When I make something in my Paris workshop, it's never the same as something I make in Cameroon or Mexico.
De Rosa has been trotting the globe since 2003, and these works were made in Cameroon, at Foban, the town known to be home to some of Africa's best metalworkers and many workshops. De Rosa made designs, and the artisans realised his ideas, using skills passed down from generation to generation.
This is the idea that I feed myself with the practices of the craftsman, very particular and specific to a place.
Nearly 300 pieces were made this way. Robots, an almost mythological modern image, a reference to his generation from comics, film and science fiction. The artist doesn't control everything. He prefers to let the others take over, using their training and skills.
I impose an aesthetic alphabet, a formal structure, the head like this, the arms like that, the eyes like this. After that, the way they make it, that comes from their talent. I don't say, yes, no, that's no good. On the contrary, what interests me is what they bring to my work.
Hervé de Rosa traces an unusual path, filling his mind with different worlds as he moves from country to country.
Well, that wraps it up for this culture section. Stay with us on France 24.
Culture was brought to you by Lexus Hybrid Drive.
And that's it for this half hour of news and current affairs here on France 24. Stay tuned. On the top of the hour, more news coming up with Marcus Carlson.